Okay, so I wanted to get into the Aquarian Gospel here, but before I do this, okay, so I've heard a lot of people talking about um the Sphinx, okay, the Sphinx. So I'm just gonna share a book that I got from that I got as a gift from God, basically, and it really showed me and is teaching me a lot. So in this book, I decided for some reason God wanted me to go back and look at this. Okay, God was telling me go back and look at this, Michael, because this is important. And so I went back to Tuesday, the 9th, in November 1926, and this book that I have, this woman Emily Sands, she's looking for the tomb of Osiris. Okay, she's looking for the tomb of Osiris, and it's just weird because here I am a year later looking at this, and she says, I have no doubt that we will not find the tomb of Osiris near the pyramids. Now you got to understand, nobody found the tomb of Christ either. Okay, so having been around for a mere 44,600 years, they're not nearly old enough. Okay, she's talking about the pyramids. Okay, so if you want to know how old the pyramids, okay, are, there you go. So still, on one hand, one can hardly visit Cairo without taking the tram out of the Giza Plateau to survey these most magnificent of all monuments. So a note on the pyramids. So she's saying as we climb up the pyramids, okay, um, she's saying the tunnels inside and the chambers of the pyramid, okay, this guy told her they were built originally as the tombs of some old kingdom pharaohs. Statues of some of these pharaohs have been found in the temple's ruins nearby. A statue of King Menkaure and his wife was found in the valley of the temple near the small pyramid. Okay, um, so the Great Pyramid, the oldest of the seven wonders of the world, was built in 2680 BC. Okay, so the three pyramids, of course, are the Pyramid of Menkaure, the Pyramid of Khafra, and the Great Pyramid of Khufu. So around 800, Caliph Mamun, okay, used fire and vinegar to enter into the Great Pyramid, searching for treasure. In the 1800s, Bel Zoni used gunpowder on Khafra's pyramid to search out secret chambers. Today, a little gentler methods are used. So, if you guys want to know who's the Great Sphinx, everybody talks about they think they know who is the Great Sphinx. Who is that face on the Sphinx? Well, according to this book, so according to this book, the Sphinx was cleared of sand for the first time in 2,000 years. Okay, for most of its life, it was buried right up to its neck. Okay, its face is that of King Khafra. Okay, so now you know it's King Khafra. Okay, so moving forward here, so we're going to talk about Joseph's step pyramid, right? So we're talking about Joseph's step pyramid. Now, I don't know if anybody picks up on this. I don't know if anybody usually notices this, but if you see in the Bible, okay, the Bible is filled. I mean, from Joseph, okay, you have Oz, okay, Joshua, Oz, Hosea, Oz, okay. I could go on and on and on and on and on, okay. The OZ, the OS, the AZ, the AS, okay, it's in everything. Okay, and this is, of course, we're talking about um, the pharaohs before Zoser were usually buried in mastaba tombs of mud brick. went one better, commissioning his royal architect, Amenhotep. Okay, Amenhotep. So you know Amenhotep is Christ. Okay, so is Christ. So we know that Amenhotep is the great physician. Okay. So this is a step pyramid of stone surrounding by its walls of Memphis itself. Amenhotep carried out his work so well in the latter times he was worshipped as a god. Okay. So this book is very interesting to me. Now King Zoser, the statue of King Zoser was found completely walled up except for a small slit at eye level, so the king could gaze out on eternity. Interesting. Could there be a statue like this in the tomb of Osiris? Okay. So, of course, we're talking about the bust of Nefertiti, Akhenaten's queen, which was found in the ruins of the sculptor's studio at Akhenaten in 1911. Okay. So, if you know about Akhenaten, so what's today's date? Today is sorry, I hear a dog barking in the background. But anyways, I just wanted to get into that because the Ark of the Covenant and stuff like that. This girl talks about it, and the singing statues also. Okay, so if you want to know about those singing statues, the one of Amenhotep III and his wife T and his daughter. Okay, they used to be known as Shami and Tammy, possibly a corruption of the Arabic words for left and right. They used to sing each morning, a sound probably caused by the sun heated up the stones. But the singing stopped when Roman Emperor Septimus Severus repaired them in AD 199. Now, isn't that a shame? So, anyways, just wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of people speculate on who's on the Sphinx. Who exactly is on the Sphinx? So we're gonna get back into this Aquarian Gospel. If I could find it here. Here it is. And we're going to go to page 78. Maybe we'll actually go to 74. How about we go to 74 because it's 7:47. So let's see what 74 is hitting for. Okay. The life and works of Jesus in Assyria. Okay. Actually, we'll go to chapter 41 of this, okay? So Jesus stands by a healing fountain, reveals the fact that faith is the most potent factor in healing, and many are healed by faith. A little child teaches a great lesson of faith. Okay, now check this out. A flowing spring that people called the healing fountain was near Persepolis, okay? And all the people thought that a certain time of the year the deity came down and gave a virtue to the waters of the fountain, and that the sick who then would plunge into the fountain and wash would be made whole. Okay, so this is kind of almost like Jesus healing the guy. Okay, when the angel came down and stirred the waters, right, and the man with an infirmity for 38 years. Okay, and Jesus told him get in the water. Why don't you get in the water? Get in the water. Be healed. This whirlpool galaxy. Okay, 51. Now, I told you the minds believed that the whirlpool is how the universe started, from a muscle moving and the angels stirring the waters, okay? Stirring the waters, the whirlpool. So that's just a little bit about that. So, and about the fount of a multitude, people were in waiting for the Holy One to come and potentize the waters of the fount. So remember, we are in the age of Aquarius now, right? So the age of Aquarius, okay, he is the water bearer, okay, the water bearer. So I showed you that fountain, okay, where I was at. That is an example of a water bearer. He comes down, he pours the waters down, he makes everything fresh, and purifies stuff. It makes everything, it's like we're starting over, so. And the fount of a multitude of people were in there waiting for the Holy One to come and potentize the waters of the fount. You see, the blind, the lame, and the deaf, the dumb, and those who were obsessed were there. Jesus, standing in the midst of them, explained, "Behold the spring of life." Okay? Now remember, in Revelation 22, okay, there are 4 rivers that flow from the 4 trees, in the garden, in the garden. So, these rivers are for healing. These waters are for healing. So Jesus standing in the midst of them, behold, the spring of life, these waters that will fail are honored as the special blessing of your God. So remember this, God controls the waters, right? So I heard a song, sooner or later, God's going to trouble the waters, right? So us humans, everybody on this earth needs water. It needs clean water. It needs good water. Okay? And thank God we have a physician that does that. Okay? From whence do healing virtues come? Why is your God so partial with his gifts? Why does he bless this spring today and then tomorrow take his blessings all away? A deity of power could fill these waters full of healing virtue every day. Now, see, Jesus is talking about himself. I'm the physician that could do this. You're waiting on something that's not going to come, or maybe comes once in a blue moon. Christ is saying, "Hey, listen, this healing, these healing virtues, these are available all the time, all the time." So, and God's not partial in his love for you, in his love for me, in his love for anybody else. Okay? We serve a universal God, a God of love, right? So hear me, you sick and disconsolate. The virtue of this fount is not a special gift of God. Faith is the healing power of every drop of waters of this spring. You see that? With faith. Just with faith. Okay? So I always get beat up and say, "Oh, believe, believe, believe," Well, Lord, if it, help me believe. I believe to begin with, but if I'm lacking unbelief, help me believe, So every day is a struggle, though. Every day it has its ups and downs. Not every day you're going to have the greatest faith. Not every day you're going to be perfect. It's about striving, though, and having faith and knowing that you could reach that goal. So he who believes with his whole heart will be made new and whole. By washing in this fount will be made whole when he is washed, and he may wash at any time. Let everyone who has this faith in God and himself plunge in these waters and now wash, right? Many of the people plunged into the crystal fount. Isn't that interesting? A crystal fount. And they were healed. And there was a rush, for all the people were inspired with faith. Each one strove to be the first to wash, lest all the virtue be absorbed. And Jesus saw a little child, weak, faint, helpless, sitting all alone beyond the surging crowd, with none to help, with none to help. And there was none to help her to the fountain. Jesus said, "My little one, why do you sit and wait? Why not arise and hasten to the fountain and wash him and be made well?" You know, this poor boy that I seen, I was at this parade the other day, and this poor boy, this woman, it was her son, and he was, he had all kind of stuff going on with him, cerebral palsy, all kind of stuff. He was just so banged up, and his name was Liam. And he was watching, and he was just, it reminded me of the young Pope and the guy's son that he had in the wheelchair. The poor boy in the wheelchair. He couldn't talk, but he would react to things. You know, he could talk, but he couldn't talk. Okay, so this is a parallel to the guy in the well with the 38 years. The guy in. So and I couldn't do nothing for this Liam. I wanted to touch him. I wanted to pray for him. I wanted to hold him, but the lady was so protective over him. But I sat next to him, and I whispered to him, and I said, Liam, I pray to God that you are healed. I pray to God that God gives you such a blessing in the next life, that you have life more abundantly, that you have it richly. And I knew he heard me, because he started reacting to it. Telekinesis, telepathic messages. You can send out. If you're close enough to somebody and your mind is strong enough, okay, and you have that power to transfer a message into another person's brain, I'm telling you it's possible. Because me and my brother, we feel what each other feel from miles away, thousands and thousands of miles away, all across the world. He can feel what I feel. He knows when I'm feeling down. He knows when I'm feeling up. He knows when I'm feeling whatever. He knows when I'm in danger. So Jesus said, "My little one, why do you sit and wait? Why not arise and hasten to the fountain, wash, and be made well?" Now listen to this child. If you want to see God, listen to me. If you want to see God, look in the eyes of a child. Okay? Look in the eyes of a child. You will see God. So the child replied, "I need not haste. The blessings of my Father in the sky are measured not in tiny cups. They never fail. Their virtues are the same forevermore. When these whose faith is weak must haste to wash for fear their faith will fail, have all been cured. For these waters will be just as powerful for me. Then I could go and stay a long time within the blessed waters of the spring." And Jesus said, "Behold, a master soul She comes to earth to teach men the power of faith. And then he lifted up the child and said, why wait for anything? The very air we breathe is filled with the balm of life. Breathe in this balm of life in faith and be made whole. The child breathed in the balm of life and faith, and she was well. And the people marveled much at what they heard and saw, and said, this man must surely be the God of health made flesh. Jesus said the fountain of life is not a little pool. It is as wide as the spaces are of heavens. The waters of the fount are love. The potency is faith. And he who plunges into the deep, into the living springs, in living faith, may wash away his guilt and be made whole and freed from his sins. So, that's beautiful. So Jesus bids the Magians farewell. He goes to Assyria. He teaches the people of Yor, okay? Or Yor, okay? He meets Ashpenaz, okay? I see with whom he visits many towns and cities and teachings and healing the sick in Persia. Jesus' work was done, and he returned on his journey towards his native land. The Persian sage went to the Euphrates, and then with the pledge that they should meet again in Egypt, the land, the master said farewell. And Caspar went his way onto his home beside the Caspian Sea. And Jesus soon was in Chaldea, the cradle land of Israel, in Ur, where Abraham was born. He tarried for a long time. When he told the people who he was, okay, so they left this part out. Okay, so this is okay. Stop texting me, please. The songs of pleasure will be heard no more within her walls, and every kind of creeping thing and unclean bird will these ruins find their homes. In the temple of Balus. I wonder if this has to do with Belarus. They probably not, but Jesus and Ashpenaz, this almost sounds like Ashurbanipal, stood in silent thought. Then Jesus spoke and said, behold, this monument of folly and shame. Men tried to shake the very throne of God, and he essayed to build a tower to reach to heaven. Okay, so they're talking about the Tower of Babel. Men tried to shake the very throne of God. He essayed to build a tower to reach to heaven, and woe, his very speech was snatched away. Check that out. His very speech was snatched away. God controls what comes out of your mouth. God knows your thoughts. God can stop your tongue. And he can rip anything and pluck anything out of you and away from you. And cut down you real quick. Real quick. And on these heights of the heathen Baal stood, the God wrought out by the hands of man. Upon your altar, birds, beasts, and men. Now remember what Revelation said. I saw. And what did they do? They exchange all this stuff, okay? They do all this stuff. And they also take the souls of men, okay? So this is also similar to the time that Elijah challenged all the 7 or the 450 or however many prophets of Baal there were, okay, and Jezebel and this and that. Now remember this with Jezebel and Elijah. Now Elijah is John, okay? Elijah is John. John the Baptist is Elijah. Elijah is John the Baptist, okay? So there's a lot of things. Now notice Jezebel wanted to cut Elijah's head off, okay? Just like, Herod's, what's her name, wanted to cut John's head off, and she got John's head. But see, then Jesus came and they said, oh my God, John the Baptist has returned. as return for vengeance on me. Okay. Kind of like they shot John Kennedy, and his son's going to return with vengeance upon these wicked men. So I won't say any more. Okay. So yes, children have been burned. Now remember in Jeremiah, God said, they put their kids through the fire, offer their kids through the fire to Moloch. I never even thought such a thing was even possible. It never even entered into my mind that they would do such a wicked thing. But yet they did. So if you ever seen they have a movie in like 1927 or something about Moloch, and they actually show this stuff. So if you want to watch it, look it up. So, but now the gory priests are dead. The very rocks have shuddered and have fallen down, and the place is desolate. Now in the plains of Shinar, remember Shinar, Jesus tarried yet for 7 days, and with Ash Benah meditated long upon the needs of men and how the sages could best serve the coming age. Jesus went his way. After many days, he crossed the Jordan to his native land. At once he sought his home in Nazareth. His mother's heart was filled with joy. She made a feast for him, inviting all her kindred and friends. Jesus' brother they were not pleased that such attention should be paid to one that they deemed a sheer adventurer. Okay, so they laughed. They laughed their brother's claims to scorn. They called him indolent, ambitious, vain, a worthless fortune hunter, a searcher of the world for fame, who after many years returns to his mother's house with neither gold nor any other wealth. And Jesus beside his mother and his sister Miriam and told them of his journey to the east. He told them of the lessons he learned and of the works that he had done. And to others he told not the story of his life. Okay, so the Greek philosophy was full of pungent truth. This is when Jesus goes to Greece and is welcomed by the Athenians. He meets Apollo. Okay, the Greek philosophy was full of pungent truth, and Jesus longed to study with the masters of the schools of Greece. So he left his home in Nazareth, crossed the Carmel Hills, at the port took a ship. Now you'll notice when he takes his ship, he's gonna sail to the ship of Mars after this. Okay, he's gonna sail onto the ship of Mars, which is very interesting. So he soon was in the Grecian capital. Now the Athenians heard of him as a teacher and a philosopher. They were glad to have him to come to them that they might hear his words of truth. Among the masters of the Greeks were one, Apollo, was called a defender of the oracle. Okay, recognized in many lands as a Grecian sage. All a sage is, guys, is just a seer. A sage is a seer, a prophet. Somebody who could, Samuel was considered a seer or sage, whatever. So Joseph Smith was considered a seer or sage. So Apollo opened up for Jesus all the doors of the Grecian lore, and Areopagus heard the wisest masters speak. Jesus brought to them, a wisdom greater far than theirs, so he taught. Now remember, when Paul went before the Grecians, now remember what he said. They saw an altar to an unknown God. And the Greeks, then the philosophers, they're like, what is this resurrection that Paul's talking about? What is this thing? What is this? So they were interested to hear it, and Paul let them have it, just like Jesus is probably going to let them have it here. So, um, So once in the amphitheater he stood. Notice he said amphitheater. Sometimes I feel like I'm in an arena or something. You know, I have a book called The Last Disciple, and it talks about how all these people are in this arena, okay? In Nero's arena, okay? Nero's the beast. And Nero is hidden. You can't see Nero, okay? Nero is dressed up in disguise, okay? Nobody knows who Nero is. He's dressed up in disguise. You gotta find. You can't find him. You know, he's playing the game. He's playing his games. And but Nero's scared of Christ. He's scared of the Christos. Okay, he doesn't like the Christos. Okay, so anybody but the Christos, right? Anybody but the beast, right? So, anyways, that's just an inside thing. So Athenian masters here, the ages long ago, men and wise natures, laws, sought out and found the place on which your city stands. Full well you know that there are parts of the earth where its great beating heart throws heavenward etheric waves that meet the ethers from above. So after I get out of this part, I'm gonna talk about the Book of Mormon and the Book of the Ether. Okay, after this. It's very interesting. Also, Doctrines and Covenants by the Mormons are very interesting. Okay. So Micah was a Moor. Maybe he was a Moor man. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. All the parts of the earth. Okay. Full well you know that there are parts of the earth where their beating heart throws heavenward, the etheric waves that meet the ethers from above, where spirit, light, and understanding like the stars of night shine forth. Of all the parts of the earth, there is no place more sensitized, more truly spirit blessed than that where the eighth Athens stands. Okay, so yeah, Greece is very important. So all of Greece is blessed. No other land had the homeland such mighty men of thought as grace your scrolls of fame. A host of sturdy giants of philosophy, poetry, science, of art were born upon the soil of Greece and rocked to manhood in your cradle of pure thought. I came not here to speak of science or philosophy, of art. These you are the world's best masters now, but all your high accomplishments are but stepping stones. The world's beyond the realm of sense, but elusive shadows fitting on the walls of time. But I would tell you of a life beyond, within, a real life that cannot pass away. In science and philosophy, there is no power strong enough to fit a soul to recognize itself or to commune with God. I would not stay the flow of your great streams of thought, but I would turn onto them the channels of the soul, unaided by the spirit breath. The work of intellection tends to solve the problems of the things we see and nothing more. The senses were ordained to bring into the mind mere pictures of the things that pass away. They do not deal with the real things. They do not comprehend eternal law. But man is something in his soul, a something that will tear the veil apart that he may see the world of real things. We call this something spirit consciousness. Okay? It sleeps in every soul. It cannot be awakened until the holy breath becomes a welcome guest. You have to let in the Holy Spirit. You have to breathe out the Holy Spirit. So the holy breath knocks. Remember, Jesus said, hey, knock and I'll come sup with you. Knock and, we'll come sup with you. We'll come enter into you. We'll come live inside of you. That kind of thing, right? So the holy breath knocks at the door of every soul. See, it's not just your soul. It's not just her soul. It's not just Jesus' soul. You have the essence in you. It's in you, okay? So, but cannot enter into the will of man until the will of man throws wide the door. You have to open up your heart. There is no power in intellect to turn the key. Philosophy and science both have toiled to get a glimpse behind the veil, but they have failed. So the secret spring that throws ajar the door of the soul is touched by nothing else than purity and life by prayer and holy thought. Okay, so we say, listen, hey, take every thought captive, think holy thoughts, do not allow any wickedness to come, okay, into your mind. If you do, take it captive, get rid of it, empty it out of you, okay, and move forward. Move forward. Return, O mystic stream of Grecian thought. Mingle your clear waters with the food of spirit life. You see, the Native Americans, the Hopis, know this. Every single thing is spirit. And I'm starting to realize now that you can manifest things because of your spirit, which you say, your world, your word, this and that. You could do this stuff. Now, what does it profit? That much I don't know. I could manifest, things, and see things, but it's not gonna get me like things or nothing like that. But it's eye opening and things like that, and I could show other people and open their eyes. So freely I've been given, freely I'll give out. That's what I want to do. I want to give out what God's given to me. So that's why I'm here talking about this and even spending my time on this. So um, So hopefully somebody will get the message, somebody will hear this, and then it will be, it will be shared some way, somehow, because I know that my word doesn't return to me void. It goes out and accomplishes what I say it will. It's a word on the wing, okay, and it does what I say. So when Jesus had thus said this, okay, then the spirit consciousness will sleep no more, and man will know, and God will bless. See, it's all about Christ consciousness. When Jesus had thus said this, he stepped aside. The Grecian masters were astonished at the wisdom of his words. They answered not. Couldn't get him on anything. Couldn't get him on anything. When real recognizes real truth, okay, it is what it is. So I'm gonna just go and share this last bit real quick, and I'm gonna get off here because I'm kind of tired. Had a long night or a long day, whatever. Jesus teaches the Greek masters, goes with Apollo to Delphi, hears the oracle speak. It testifies for him. Now remember, Alexander the Great went before, what's that lady's name? Baba Yaga or Baba something. And she told Alexander about his legacy and how he was so special and how he'll have a short life. And if he wants a short life or a long life, God told the same thing to Joseph Smith. Hey, you're not gonna profit in this world, with earthly riches. Don't even waste your time doing it. Sometimes I feel like God tells me the same thing. Don't even waste your time. Well, and then I say to God, hey, well, listen, if I could be stable, have stable living, just have a place to lay my head, have a place to lay my head, that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. As long as I can go out and I can be used as a service to you, that's all I want. That's all I want. So, um, actually, I'm gonna stop right there because I'm kind of tired. So, I hope somebody, this reaches somebody.